The account section. This section is where you can set your service charge budgets for the year, send out service charge and ground rent demands to leaseholders, view any transactions that have been made in relation to the block, and manage your bank accounts. The great thing about this section is that you can manage all the finances relating to your block in one place and have immediate overview over what payments are due. Once it's set up, resident can send out demands to leaseholders automatically, and your accountant can also directly download the reports they need from the system to prepare end-of-year accounts, so that you don't have to prepare separate documents to send to them. And I'll talk you through how to do that in a moment. Other parts of the resident system that use the data from this section are reporting, billing, maintenance, the block section, and the block dashboard. Now let's run through the navigation. You can jump to any other section of Resident via the shortcuts on the black panel to the left of your screen here. Clicking on the block dashboard link here takes you back to your list of blocks. The system times you out after 20 minutes, so if this happens, you'll have to select your block again to get back in and view your block dashboard. If you find it easier, you can also use the drop-down menu across the top of your screen to select a block, view messages or send a new one, create a new block or log out, or contact resident user support. If you have more than one block, the name of the block that you're currently in is shown here on the top toolbar. Clicking on this also takes you to the block dashboard for that block. Clicking the back arrow on your web browser will take you back to the previous screen that you were in. Another 5 options, as you can see: financial periods, budgets, service charge demands, transactions, and bank accounts. Starting with financial periods, this is where you set up the accounting periods for your service charge schedules. Click on Add Financial Period up here to add another. The system will automatically suggest a date range for you, but you can change it manually like this if you need to. Next, it's best to set up your bank accounts before you set any budgets. So click on Bank Accounts down at the bottom of the list here, and then Add Bank Account here. Enter the details of the bank account you'd like to use in relation to this block, then click Add, and you'll see it appear in the list of bank accounts on your screen here. Click into it if you need to check or amend the details, and you can delete it like this too if you need to. Multiple bank accounts can be added for individual blocks if required. Now let's look at budgets. You can see the details of your approved budgets and open budgets on this screen. To add a new budget, click on Add Budget over here. Select the financial period you'd like it to relate to, what it's for, service charge, ground rent, admin fees or bank interest. And the system automatically assumes it's for all schedules, but you can customise this by unticking any of the boxes like this. Then choose how frequently you'd like to send out the schedules using this drop-down box, and allocate the right bank account to it. Back on the main budget screen, you can see the details of any budget that's been approved by clicking on View, by clicking on the budget date in this left-hand column. And this is where you can choose to set the system to automatically generate service charge demands or send out invoices by email by ticking these boxes. If you click on Generate, you can see the details for each individual, and you can send their invoices directly to them by clicking on this email icon, or download it by clicking here if you'd rather print and send it to them by post. You can bulk download all the invoices over here, or email all the owners by clicking on this button. For any open budgets, click on the date period here to go into more detailed screen for that budget, where you can add all the service charge schedule information for your block by clicking on each of the relevant tabs along the top here and filling in the details. Once you've done that, you can review the totals per unit on this tab here. The last tab, Invoicing Periods and Service Charges, is where you set the parameters for your service charges to be generated and invoices to be sent out. The system can do this automatically for you if you set it up here by ticking these boxes, selecting a date. Otherwise, every time you need to send out a demand, you'll have to generate each one at a time by clicking on the Generate button, as we've already talked through. Back on the first tab, Details, you can approve the budget over here, delete it, or download it as a PDF to your computer. Now on to Service Charge Demands. The Service Charge Demands and Invoices section is split into 3 tabs: Service Charges, Budget Timetables, and Supplementary Invoices. The first one, Service Charges, is where all your outstanding and paid service charge demands are listed. The paid ones are down the bottom here. The table shows the demand date, what category it's allocated to, the amount, what's been paid, and what's still due. Click into the description and it will show you the full details of the service charge schedule, split by unit owner and how much each person owes. You can view invoices that you've already sent out by clicking on the invoice reference here, download it to your computer here, or email it to the owner here. If you want to quickly send out invoices to all the unit owners, you can do that over here and download in bulk too. The other 2 tabs on this screen show you a more detailed breakdown of the service charge schedule based on information that you've already entered in other parts of the system. Back on the main service charge screen, Budget Timetables is where you can check the status of your budgets. These also appear in the Budget section. These also appear in the Budget section under the Invoicing Periods and Service Charges tab, as you can see if you click into one. Use the back button on your browser up here to take you back to the service demands screen. The last tab, Supplementary Invoices, shows you any additional invoices that have been raised. If you need to set up a new service charge demand or raise a supplementary invoice, use the buttons to the right of your screen here. So if we click on New Service Charge Demand, you'll see this screen. You can edit the description, change the demand date here, choose the category from the drop-down list, what bank account the payment should be made to, and then over on the right, add the schedule amounts. Choose what details you'd like the invoice to show down here, then click Save down the bottom. The system will then prompt you to review the details before you publish it over here. You can review the unit contributions you've set when you added your block's unit details on this tab here, and details of the invoices that the system will now generate for you over here. If you're happy with all the details, go back to the Details tab and click Publish. To generate an invoice, click this button here, and it's a similar process. Fill out the details you need on this form. The system generates a reference for you to use and uses today's date, but you can change these if you wish, and edit the description. Select the category and the bank account, which unit you want to send it to over here, then add the item description and the amount down here. Remember to click Save down the bottom of your screen, and you're done. Now let's look at the Transactions screen. This is a snapshot of your block's account where you can see at a glance payments that have been credited or paid out and the balance of the account. At the top you can select which account you'd like to view and what date range. In the table of transactions you can sort by column by clicking on the headings here and click into the payments like this to see the details of each invoice. Using the Actions buttons on the right, you can download a cash book report like this. You can also import bank statements into Resident as a CSV file. Resident currently allows you to import the following information: date, amount and transaction description, so your file should contain at least those 3 items. You also need to make sure the transactions are all in the same column before you upload the file. Some bank statements show debit and credit transactions in 2 different columns, so before you upload it, you'll need to move the debit transactions to the credit column or vice versa. and remember to input them with the minus symbol. And then save as a CSV file. Once you've prepared your file, choose it and then click Upload CSV file here. And you'll see this screen. Firstly, make sure that the headings are aligned to the correct columns. If not, just drag them to move them. After you've done that, just choose Convert Transactions to allow Resident to process your file. No transaction will actually be imported until you click the Import Transactions button. Once that's done, on your right, you can preview what transactions and relevant details will be imported to your resident bank account. You have the option to deselect transactions you don't want to import at this stage by unticking the box next to them. If you're happy with the import preview, click Import Transactions to confirm the import. And that's it. You'll be able to view your statement in the Transactions section here. Then use the Financial Reconciliation button to reconcile all the transactions you imported from your bank account. Select the account you'd like to reconcile over here on the left, then click on the Financial Reconciliation button. You'll see this screen, which shows all the banking transactions with outstanding amounts to assign in Resident. Blue ones are transactions which are credited to your account, and debit transactions are in yellow. Let's work through a credit transaction. On the left-hand side, you can see all the transaction details together with amount unreconciled. There are two ways to reconcile. Either you can tick the box Assign to General Ledger, which will bring up this screen. Complete the details, choose the category to assign it to, click Save, and it's done. Or if you want to reconcile transactions against invoices, you just click Assign Invoice Payment. It will give you a list here of invoices and payments still unreconciled. Select the invoice you want to reconcile against, or if no payment's been created yet, you can click on Register New Payment. This will create a payment either for the whole invoice amount or equal to the transaction, whichever is lower. Click Assign and it creates it here. Then click Save, and if the whole amount was paid, the transaction will be removed from the list. If there are still unreconciled payments, they will continue to show here until the balance has been brought down to zero. If the leaseholder has overpaid, you can still reconcile the transaction in the same way. Once you've assigned the invoice, click on Create Credit Adjustment, which will effectively add credit to the unit owner of your choice so that you can use it against any future invoices. The reporting section generates a variety of financial reports automatically from the transaction page, including budget versus expenditure, creditors, debtors, and so on. And you can find out more about that from the Reporting How-To Guide. You can find more resident how-to guides on our YouTube channel and on our resources page. And if you need more help, just hit the support button on the top right-hand corner of your screen.